What's going on, guys? Sherjan here, your personal mentor. So one of the commenters on my YouTube channel asked me, hey Sherjan, do you have any funny stories or interesting stories from your interviewing days, either as an interviewer or interviewee? So here's a story that I wanted to kind of bring you, and I have like a lot of other stories that I can bring later on, but this was, I think, an interesting one, especially given the fact that as international students, for example, or someone who is coming from a non-target background, we already know how hard it is to break into some of these industries. So when I was at UCLA, I got an interview, my first ever interview at Goldman Sachs. And I was pretty, nervous about it. And I was pretty scared about it because I was like, oh my God, this is the best investment bank in the world. And I want to crush this interview and do everything that I can that's in my control to make sure that I, do this right and hopefully move on to this next round of interview. So to do that, I need to make sure this round of interview or this first round, this phone screening would go, the right way. So anyways, the team, the Goldman Sachs team that I was interviewing with was in Dubai actually, and I was based in LA. And the problem was, I was an international student in LA, so I didn't even have a proper phone account or anything like that, or cell phone. I had one of those international, phone numbers, which, sometimes would, fall off and the signal would get lost and, the call would drop. So I was like, look, this is one of my dream jobs and I'm not going to take a chance in jeopardizing that. So I'm going to make sure that I do everything in my power to, do everything that's, in my control, in my court, and get it done right so that this call doesn't drop and I basically have prepared everything in my power to get this done right. So the interview was, let's just say, on a Tuesday. And because they were in Dubai, I was in LA, the time difference made it so that the interview was going to be at 6 in the morning, LA time. Right? That's when the interview was going to happen. So for me, I needed to be ready and prepared in an environment where I could have a proper phone line, which wouldn't drop or which somehow wouldn't be faulty and would make me look bad in case it did drop. So the only option I had was I had the Career Center at UCLA in the business school, which allowed me to, take phone calls from their booths. But the problem is, because it was 6 in the morning, at that time, these career centers are not open. They're closed. They're usually closed at like 6 p.m. and don't open until 9 a.m. the next day. But my interview was at 6 a.m. So how would I, do this? So the way I did this was I was pretty close friends with the person who would run the career center. She was the director of the career services there. So I reached out to her and was like, hey, look, I can't take chances on this call. I need to make sure that I, crush this call and everything goes perfectly. So I said, hey, do you mind if I use your office? And stay in your office. When you close it, I'll just go in there, I'll take my dinner with me, I'll take water and other things with me, and I'll spend the night at the career services, at the career center in your office. And I'll hide away from the janitors and anybody else who comes checking security and whatever. But when I wake up, I'll have your landline and I'll use it and I'll dial in on this conference call or this interview call and hopefully crush the interview. And because I was close friends with her, she was like, yes, go for it, done. So the night before the interview, I went to her office. I had a backpack full of like some snacks and all of my interview training material. I went to her office around 5:30, 6 p.m. When she locked it, I walked in and I basically, kind of hid myself so that I was behind the door so nobody could see me through the window. And then I just prepared the rest of the night. So I prepared the rest of the night. I slept on the floor there the night of. And the morning I woke up around 5, basically, looked proper, had my dress shirt on and stuff, and basically got in that interview mindset. And this doesn't mean there was a Zoom chat. Back then, they didn't have Zoom interviews or anything. This was a phone call, but I was in the mindset. I put on my, sticky notes on the wall of her office so that I was prepared and ready to go. And then the call happened. So I dialed in. Call happened exactly at 6 in the morning, and I crushed that interview process. Anyways, they invited me to the next round of interview, but so that whole call was a success. But the point I want to bring the story up is not to show you that, hey, I was successful at a Goldman Sachs first round interview. I think the point I want to mention to you is these jobs, these industries, the chance of even getting an interview is so low, right? Like I think I mentioned in another video, there's about 250,000 applicants that apply to Goldman Sachs every year. And the acceptance rate is less than 3%. So if you got an interview and you're already non-target international student, or you feel like you have a lot of bottlenecks, this is a do or die kind of situation. So you can't take any chance in this situation of risking it and putting yourself in a situation which could jeopardize your potential of getting this job. So if you are someone like me or like I was, and you are in that boat right now, and you have an opportunity ahead of you, you need to do everything that's in your power to do it right and to get through this interview process and hopefully get invited. So the hustle piece of this and the whole mindset of going the extra mile to making sure everything that's in your court, you check it, and make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So that's the story, guys. Hopefully in your own processes, you can kind of figure out how to, push it beyond, what's needed and what's required, and go above and beyond the Call of Duty to make sure you crush your interviews and hopefully get that job. Good luck.